What is up, RetroManiacs? Welcome to Retro Card Chat Podcast. My name is Mike, and I am from Mike's Retro Trading Cards. And I'm joined by two men that you won't be seeing at the National this year because they've decided to chase their dream. That's right, they're headed to Paris, France, where they're going to be flipping through the air on your TV screen as they compete for a gold medal in the vault competition. They are, of course, Joe Day and EP Eric Pahalik. How you doing, guys?
You got through that whole
101 episodes, and I still can't do it right.
You got to that whole thing, but you messed up on EP.
My last name is kind of hard to pronounce, so yeah,
I know.
It was a little tricky. Yeah.
Those Polish names are really hard to figure out. Pahalik. All right, how you doing, guys?
I have never vaulted before in my life, and it would probably be very bad.
I would love, like in Practical Joker style, us going there. Let us show you how it's done, kind of thing, and then just constantly just bashing our face into the mat.
Yep.
Would be
just biffing it every time.
What do you think the odds of you actually coming off the springboard and making it to the vault thingy would be?
Oh, I think we can make it there. Just it's not going to.
Yeah, I think I should bounce right off the vault. I think I would
let us know in the comments. Would they make it to the? What is that? The vaulting horse or something? What's that called?
Pummel. I don't. Is it the pommel horse?
No, that's the one where they like do their legs on both sides. I don't know how they do any of that stuff. But
yeah,
it'll be fun watching you guys fly through.
It will be. Put it on at the National. That'd be fun.
Yeah, we're at the National. There's gonna be a vault.
You're not gonna be there.
That's actually.
Because you have to go to Paris to get ready for the Olympics. Yeah. I clearly said that in the intro you didn't listen to.
It was just too much. It was too much to listen to.
Yeah. Made it to 100 episodes. Now we're falling apart on 101. But how you doing, Joe? What's going on? Good. Anything new and exciting?
A couple of things, but I will say I'm not going to have a beer today. You know, it's too early. I can't drink a beer, so instead I'm gonna have a Dunkin' Spiked coffee. Okay. I feel like that. I mean, these are available in store, so I did the iced teas. I did not like the iced teas. I got to be honest, boys. We have a problem here.
I want to review that.
I just cut my nails, like I trimmed my nails, and I couldn't get the thing up. Okay, let's try it. Hold on.
Wow.
Great.
That's not good at all.
Yes, that's what I was hoping for. That is the content.
I have a case of this stuff I need to drink.
So why is it not great? So Dunkin' Donuts is out as a sponsor, but why is it that what is that? What's wrong with it?
It tastes like the iced tea, but coffee flavored. It's hard to, like, if you didn't have the iced tea, you wouldn't understand this. It's not good. I want to pour it into like a clear glass so I can see like what it looks like, because it does not look like I would think of a hard coffee. It's really not good, everyone. I mean, I'm going to drink it because obviously, but
soldier on, man. Soldier on.
Maybe I'll just mix it with my actual coffee.
There goes any chance of getting a Dunkin' Donuts sponsorship on the channel. Way to go, Joe.
I'm good with that.
If this is the kind of crap they're going to be making, I'm good with that.
Starbucks family here at Mike's Retro Trading Cards.
Yeah, this is true.
But I have something actually card related. So a week from today, we're doing the One Touch Magnetic Pro Mold giveaway. Okay. So we are doing it on the 11th. The last day you can enter is that Saturday, which would be the 9th.
This coming Saturday.
This coming Saturday, yes. So if you are interested in winning a Pro Mold Party Pack, go watch that video. I don't know if Mike can put it up here, put it in the comments or whatever, but go watch that video. And I actually pulled what I'm going to be giving away to two winners. So I thought it'd be fun to go over those. So first, I'm going to be giving like all easy insert sleeves. I bought like packs of them. I'm going to a handful to everyone for all the different sizes. All right, we've got second generation. These are all second generation. We've got the 55 point. Okay. I actually had to buy the 55 point and the 75 point special because people were commenting with cards that probably makes sense more for a 55 or 75 point. So I shelled out some more cash for our viewers because I love them so much.
Nice.
So 55, 75, 155, so a little bit thicker, and of course my favorite, the 180.
The big boy right there.
Yeah, the big boy. Like you are messing around with that. So all 4 of these, some easy sleeves. I'm going to ship them to you. 2 winners. So go check out that video. It's real easy to enter, but you have to watch the video to enter. So definitely go do that before Saturday, the 9th, this Saturday.
And EP and I are eligible, right?
You are not eligible.
We're already getting packs sent to us.
Maybe you are.
Okay.
Maybe you are.
Okay. Because I still have that Allen Iverson card here and just waiting for you to send me one of those.
I will give you one if you can tell me what size it is. I don't know. Assuming 100 point, but I don't know. But all right.
I'll have to look into that.
Yeah.
So what's new and exciting with you, EP?
A couple things. One is on Twitter, Winks Cards, who we both follow each other. We probably follow each other for a long time. We've probably interacted a couple times, but he posted an image of all of his Ginter collection, which is literally he's trying to put together a set for every Allen and Ginter set from the very beginning and keep it up to date. And it was wild. And I'm looking at the list, and he had his 2012 listing is almost empty. So back in 2012,
damn it.
I opened a case back in 2012.
I've heard that.
Yeah, and I told him, I got a bunch. Please let me know. Just send me your list. He's on TCDB, so I went there and checked it out. They're also at the docks here in town. They have there's like a 5-row box that is like at least like half full of 2012 Ginter. So I mean, like I could probably fill a pretty big chunk of his stuff for him. So I said, hey, I'm working on a stack sale, which is another thing I want to talk about. But I'm working on that. After I'm done with that, I'm going to see what I can about getting those cards. And also, Joe, I'll get those Marvel cards for you as well. Get those together. I did find them. If you can see that, see these boxes here are labeled. And and this right here, like I'm actually organized. I'm getting organized. With
That's
some
impressive.
stuff here.
You're not organized. You're working toward getting more organized.
Yes.
Than you currently are. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Yep.
You're EP organized.
Yeah, EP organized. Exactly. So it's like the chunks that I'm working on are kind of organized. But I just wanted to say that I'm going to do a stack sale. It's going to be all basketball. And I guess my you ever see you guys? We watch the Chris Sewell videos, the baseball card collector, investor, dealer. Yeah. He there's one in his intro. He does like multiple, like a different photo kind of every time, but they're all like the same, like a rotation. And one of them is him sitting on the floor. I'm assuming a living room. With like just 100 stacks all around, 100, maybe 200 stacks all the way around him. That's how it was when I walked in here today to record this. All basketball players everywhere, just like all by players. So I got some crazy stuff, and Mike was nice enough to I bought a couple cards off him. Gave me a really good deal for to help fill out some of my stuff. So
I'm a good guy.
So yeah, I'm very excited about that. That'll be next weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the 8th, 9th, and 10th. I'm excited.
And
where will they find this?
It's on Twitter.
Oh, okay. And your username is
at EPCN.
He doesn't even know.
You have the easiest one out of all of us.
I do. It's at EPCN. So.
Okay, that's good. All right. Well, that sounds like a good time. I'm sick of having basketball sales, so I'm not even going to look at it personally. But I have like probably 4,000 basketball cards right here at my left foot, but you can't see them. Well, you guys have your stories, but I had a wild Friday night. Let me tell you. Whew. I'm getting
wait. Wild. I'd love to exchange wild Friday night stories.
This is my story, Joe. I would really appreciate if you didn't interrupt because the viewers want to hear all about my wild Friday night. Okay? Because I'm getting up there and, it takes me a little longer to recover when I decide to get wild. But yes, I spent my Friday night on WhatNot.
Wild.
Thunderdome.
This is not a bit. This is absolutely the truth. I spent pretty much my whole Friday night on WhatNot. Initial thoughts, comments.
You hear that,
before I
EP? Hold on. You hear that, EP? That's all of those people unsubscribing at the same time. Do you hear that? All those retro folks that have heard us complain about Whatnot for 100 episodes. Now at 101, we're completely turning the new leaf. We're pro Whatnot now.
Once Mike texted us, I made two references. The first one was to the leftovers, and then when the one character goes into purgatory, he has to sing karaoke to come back from purgatory. Yes. Yep. And then the other one was a reference to the Mad Max films, where like if you're going on Whatnot, you're going into the apocalypse. You're going to the apocalyptic world. So,
well, hey,
it's also all about it.
I'm still here. I'm here to talk about it. You know, my old friend Collecting with Caleb from Twitter, and he also has a YouTube channel. If I remember to put it in the description, I will, but I'm old. I don't remember a lot of things, but I do remember I was on Whatnot Friday night. He was selling 90s basketball. So guess what I was buying? I was buying 90s basketball from him. I think I bought most of what he offered on there, but I mean, he had Kobe cards, he had LeBron cards, Michael Jordan cards, some other inserts and stuff like that, and I bought a lot of them. So yeah, I made a huge purchase there on Whatnot, and since I was already on there, since Leaf Wrestling came out, I thought, what the heck, I'll get into a break, right? And what the heck? So I may have also joined a break on Whatnot. I don't know if I'll get my card. I don't know if the guy will steal it. Whatnot, well, you know.
Just be lucky if the guy somehow doesn't get your personal information and take a mortgage out in your name. I mean, it's the Wild West out there. There's going to be credit cards under Mike Lutz from this Whatnot seller.
Maybe not. Maybe Caleb will take one out in my name too. I don't know. But yeah, so that was my Friday evening. Pretty wild, right?
No? Sure.
Yeah. Although I want to know like how was it to use Whatnot, and like was it difficult for you to use it, and how did you feel like
you mean it was emotionally something? Or through
no.
Actually...
Okay. No, I mean, as far as like how easy is it to sign up and then spend your money and almost have it and probably have it stolen from you?
It is ridiculously easy to use. Yeah.
Okay.
Like
that's not great either.
When you have the app open, once you sign up and you put your payment, like it's linked to my PayPal card account, and there's a little yellow thing at the bottom that says bid, and if you want to bid, you just slide that thing over. And I did a lot of that. I think I bought around 70 cards from Caleb. So, and the break was kind of cool. I mean, I didn't hit big. The box that was open was actually a really good box, but like you get 7 cards in a box. So they were doing like a hit draft. So they randomized, you picked a number of 1 to 7. And they randomized them, and wherever you ended up, you got to pick in that order. So I ended up being 4th, but I ended up getting a Hulk Hogan card numbered out of 5. So there was a Rock 1 of 1, one of like, you know, the million 1 of 1s they have. But it was actually a pretty cool looking one. I would have liked to have that. And MJF auto went 2nd. Then somebody took a Ric Flair out of 3 with the 3rd pick, and I took the Hogan out of 5. So yeah, that was my Friday night.
Wild as it was, I will say we talked about this a little bit. Is Leaf the best value in the hobby right now? Like, what was a box of that going for, Mike? Do you have any idea what if you just wanted a box of the wrestling?
Well, they were supposed to sell for like 300 or 400, but they were like they're like over 600 to 700 now. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean,
$100 a card. Jeez.
Yeah, pretty much.
Wow.
I mean, it's not worth it for that price, but yeah. If it were like a $250, $300 product, like it's supposed to be, but like it's secondary market that is pushing the price up on it. So,
well, I mean, what was your price to get into the break, if you don't mind me asking?
Like 65, I think.
Okay.
So, I mean, it wasn't a huge markup for the break.
Right. Right.
I mean, I've been watching breaks of Leaf Pro Set Metal, and it looks really, really fun. And I might buy a box of it, but it's like $200, which, I mean, it's crazy to think that, oh, it's only $200 is a word we would be using for talking about buying like 10 cards. Oh, it's only $200. But still, I watched probably 3 cases worth of breaks of that product, and I did not see a box where I'd be like, oh man, that's a terrible box. Where when you watch breaks of like Prism, you're like, oh man, they're all terrible boxes. Like it just, you never get your money back. So I don't know. I might buy, I've been thinking about it, like $200 for a box. I'll get like at least 4 101s, which will be cool out of a box. The cool thing about Leaf Pro Set Metal is they have the Pro Set buyback cards. I've been telling you boys about them. Like from 89 to I think 94, maybe, whenever Pro Set was done. But they got buybacks and they got them all autographed and they're in one touches. Lots of Joe Montanas. He signs anything and everything, but lots of Buffalo Bills from that era. Lots of Emmitt Smith, lots of Barry Sanders, a lot of Phil Simms too, which is weird. But like back in the late 80s and 90s, Phil Simms was like a guy. You're a Giants fan, EP. So
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, lots of really, really cool stuff. Someone pulled a Brett Favre auto or from the Pro Set Power, his rookie in the Falcons uniform, which was pretty cool. I mean, lots of fun stuff there. I might have to buy a box.
They're all pretty low number too, right? All the ones you sent us anyway were no more than like 25-ish, like something like that.
Yeah, the highest number I think is 25 in that set. Probably the same for wrestling.
I don't even know if they have up to 25 in the wrestling.
Oh, wow.
They have so many parallels. They even have one with a leprechaun on it.
I heard it's cool.
That was a choice.
That was definitely a choice. But yeah, I think you should buy a box of that.
Do you think the leprechaun one, just thinking out loud, do you think it was supposed to be a picture of Brian Gray? And they were like, oh, he's not the president CEO anymore. Let's take him out and put a leprechaun in or something. Like, it's such a weird decision. Like,
so they improved the card.
I mean, I don't know. Brian Gray would take up more space than the leprechaun.
They were going to have Brian Gray on, but they couldn't fit the wrestler and him both on the card.
So the theme of that card is
I'm a big guy. I'm allowed.
Yeah, we're all big guys. We love, we're fine.
The theme of that card is legendary. So does that mean there are other legendary characters on there besides leprechauns? Like they have like Bigfoot and stuff like that in there? Is that? Do we know? Is there any other ones that you saw? Or are they all leprechauns?
I've seen like 4 or 5 leprechaun cards. So I don't know.
But yeah.
Before we move off WhatNot, I need to know, Mike. Are you going to travel back? Are you going to take that? Are you going to take that travel back
tonight
at some point? Have you gone back since, or are you?
I have not, but okay. I have looked for other Leaf Metal wrestling breaks. I haven't joined any, but I've looked on there. So, but I have not because, I mean, I did it once, and like I really don't. I don't need to get into any more of those. So yeah.
Or you don't need to, or I mean, just you don't need to go. You're just going to go because you want to, right? Back to WhatNot. It's not you don't need to go to WhatNot.
You want WhatNot.
Right? You just want to go back. It's not a need thing.
We'll see. I'll talk to you next week. We'll see what I do.
You want to marry WhatNot?
Maybe. All right. Well, we better get to things this week because we have a lot to talk about. So, what do you want to talk about?
Did things happen this week? I don't
know. I don't really like. My list is pretty much blank here.
The hobby.
Should we wrap it up here?
No, I think we should talk a little bit more because I don't know if you caught this, but the hobby is destroyed.
Oh,
the hobby is going under, and this might be our last show because of how things are going with the hobby right now.
Well, then we better talk about this.
We better talk about it.
So I don't know. Big news this week. Out of nowhere, I think this qualifies as an out of nowhere, like an RKO out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Collectors Holdings, PSA's parent company, out of nowhere with the RKO on SGC and buys SGC. I mean, initial reaction. What was your initial reaction when you saw that news break?
I wrote down some jokes first.
Oh, he has jokes. This would be good.
Okay. I have a serious question for the sports card dad. Dustin, does this mean you now get PSA money instead of SGC money? I need to know. Nat Turner, how many vintage cards did you need SGC 10s in that you're waiting for right now to submit? That's a legitimate question.
That is, yeah.
Like,
instead of submitting them, he just buys the company.
Just buys the company, right? It's like that stupid line in that Batman versus Superman movie or whatever, where he's like, "Oh, your mom's house was being foreclosed," and he goes, "Oh, so you bought the house?" He goes, "No, I bought the bank." You could have just bought the house, Bruce. I don't understand. Like, so serious comments though. I think this is the worst news for collectors since Fanatics got all of the licenses and have exclusives. I think these two things, in all seriousness, are the two worst things that have happened to this hobby ever. I mean, you have one company controlling all of the major card productions. Yes, Leaf will still make these side projects here. Cryptozoic might still make some stuff here. Rittenhouse still might make some stuff here. Upper Deck. But Fanatics has everything now. You know, in a couple of years, they're going to have every major product. And now the two largest, one is way larger, obviously, but it's almost like it's hipster competition. SGC is out. Right? Yeah, sure. We'll go through the statement. We're going to be autonomous and all that stuff. No, they're not. This is terrible for collectors. Absolutely terrible. And if these companies cared about the collectors, maybe they wouldn't be buying up their competition and destroying the hobby they say they love.
EP, your initial reaction when you heard the news?
Why didn't it go to like apocalyptic world like Joe did? I was disappointed.
No, you save that for when I go on WhatNot. The big news of the week.
I mean, listen, WhatNot. To be fair, WhatNot is scary, right?
Yeah, true.
But no, I was disappointed. I really my thoughts changed pretty directly. But my immediate thought was, I was disappointed because I really like SGC and I like what they're doing. I like that. I think they made a really good push, and the competition is great in any business where especially where you have like the hobbyists. Like, I mean, having that competition is important. So to have them just say, you know what, you're number 2, we're just going to buy you. Like, that was very upsetting to me in that regard, at least disappointing, upsetting. I don't think it's the end of the world, end of the hobby, but I do agree with Joe that it's a bad scene for collectors for sure.
I was shocked and confused, I think would be my reaction to it. Like, I'm still struggling with the why, and we'll get into that in a couple minutes there. But like, I mean, it just came out of the blue. Like, this is crazy. Like, I don't know why they did it. They didn't need to do it. They already had 70 some percent of the market. Now they have 85% of the market. And I struggle to understand why. So really, that's the next question I want to get into with you guys. Do you think this is about growing, having more market share, making more money? Or was this a preemptive thing to maybe keep another company from buying SGC?
So I have, first off, you said out of the blue. It was so out of the blue. Card Purchaser tweeted something about it. Was it like 11 o'clock at night? Just random, like, SGC just got bought by collectors, or PSA. I think they said PSA, and then they corrected the tweet.
Yeah.
But I screen capped it and sent it to you guys. Was like, is this a joke? What like, are we being, I legit, because I think it was on 3-1. I was like, is this 4-1? I legit thought it was like an April Fool's thing. And I was like, this can't be real. This is kind of shocking. So I have a ridiculous conspiracy theory. Ridiculous tinfoil hat conspiracy theory that is so ridiculous that if it doesn't happen, I can say, come on, you guys knew this wasn't going to happen, so don't hold me to it. But if it does happen, I want you guys to be like, you're Nostradamus. I cannot believe you predicted this. This is how crazy this is.
Okay, let's hear it.
Okay. I think, so when we talked about Fanatics buying a grading company, because Michael Rubin said he wants to buy a grading company or have a grading company, a one-stop shop. We initially, I think at least Mike and I initially thought BGS, EP, you might have as well, thought that would be the one that they were going to buy because of the comic books, because of the authentication, because of just the brand name of Beckett, right? And then Mike, you said, well, what about buying PSA? And, you know, I said, well, PSA Collectors is it's a billions of dollars corporation. And you made the point, yeah, but Fanatics is billions of dollars of a corporation. I actually now think that they are priming themselves to be bought by Fanatics. Collectors, my bold prediction, is trying now to be bought by Fanatics.
The whole thing, or just selling off PSA?
Like selling off maybe just selling off the grading part of it, but not
because like Collectors is the parent company, but they're a holding company. Like they're these businesses, to make money. They're there to build a business up and sell it and make money.
So it could be buying the grading portion of Collectors, which would include PSA and now SGC. So Michael Rubin doesn't have to go out and say, oh, now if I'm going to buy a grading company, I need to buy a bunch of grading companies and consolidate because I want to rule the world. Could you see him now thinking, now I can just buy PSA from Collectors and SGC. They're all under one holding company. I can buy them and have both of them under Fanatics. I don't have to do the legwork. Collectors just did that for me. And we're going to talk about this later. What's one thing that he wants but doesn't have? Grading. Mm-hmm. What's one thing that he has and doesn't need? An auction house and a vault. What's PSA? What's Collectors thinking about selling off? We're going to talk about it later. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. It's so out there. It's such a conspiracy tin hat thing. But I don't know. Maybe I'm more on that boat that they might buy PSA/SGC from Collectors now than I was a week ago. That's my bold prediction.
EP?
Interesting. I know we haven't talked about the subtopics, so if I start on like stomping all over a subtopic we're going to talk about here in a minute, just stop me. But I feel like SGC is known for grading vintage, and I feel like, and they have they have the 5 highest sales of cards ever were the 5 vintage cards in SGC slabs. So having that brand under your umbrella as a grading company wouldn't be a bad thing. And I feel like that's part of it. And I feel like the two companies can work together and keep both slabs. Everything, the Peter came out and said nothing's going to change. Everything's going to stay the same. We all know that's not going to happen. There's no chance of that happening. But I feel like maintaining both of those brands and they could use both of them in a certain way, and they could also like improve on some things. I know, Mike, you don't like SGC slabs, but what if the tuxedo came in a PSA slab now instead of in an SGC slab? So I feel like there are potentials there for some good synergy between the two companies, I think.
Synergy.
Interesting. EP used the word synergy. Yeah.
Yep. I know.
One of the things that I was actually surprised to find out is apparently SGC was willing to listen to offers for a number of years now. I think they really have gained traction in the hobby since COVID. You know, when PSA was shut down, when SGC got back to it, they've done a great job. They're able to get the cards in there, pretty accurate grading and getting stuff out quickly. So like, as silly as it sounds, they've really had a meteoric rise in the hobby in the last couple of years. Like SGC was always number 3 and like at best and like way behind Beckett and PSA. And now like they're really well thought of by a good number of people in the hobby. And knowing that they've been available, like I feel like maybe they were trying to capitalize on that before they lost market share and stuff. Right. But yeah, there were actually, it's been reported that there was interest in like, you know, private equity and venture capital groups, but they decided not to buy into it because they were worried about getting into the hobby because, you know, there are parts of the hobby that are shrinking and, you know, the hobby's not dead, but like the outside money didn't feel like investing in that company. And like, I can kind of see that too, though, because PSA is so big that no matter, how big of a niche the SGC was able to cut out for themselves, they're still going to be really small compared to PSA. So I think there is a lot of validity in either PSA doing this to keep fanatics from buying it, or Joe, you're selling me a little bit. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, well,
fanatics maybe buy PSA. Like it wouldn't be crazy. That would be a lot of money though. Like, although they're putting out a lot of money for everything else, like why not get the one thing you can make some money having that? I don't know. I'm not going to shut you down. I'm going to keep listening.
And again, super crazy conspiracy theory. So, and I don't think
you need to say super.
Happen, but
yeah, I don't think anything is super at this
point. That's true. Who knows?
PSA just bought SGC. Like that's not crazy at all.
Yeah.
I want to circle back to what you just said, Mike, about maybe stopping fanatics from buying SGC. PSA might have done it. Or collectors. I'm sorry. We keep saying PSA. We should say collectors because they are separate. They are separate, right? I will say, as someone who said how terrible this is for collectors, I would much rather fanatics bought SGC.
Oh,
like
really?
I would have, because I feel like it's lessens competition with them being under the collector's umbrella. Whereas if they were under fanatics, at least you would have an alternate place to send your cards. Like, I think people are going to still think if they're sending an SGC, like, or the new SGC, like, I think there's this loss of autonomy that they'll have under this collector's umbrella. So I would rather have them be completely separate. So if that means fanatics got to buy them, just them being completely separate from PSA and autonomous from PSA, I think that would have made me feel a little bit better as a collector.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of collectors too who they refuse to grade with PSA. They only grade with SGC or somebody other than PSA, and now they've taken one of those grading companies away from those collectors. And that's one of the things that, I mean, even though they're going to operate on their own, even if they do what, like I said, which, I mean, if they did it right, they could have potentially 3 grading areas for PSA and SGC, on West Coast and then 2 on the East Coast. Now if they could make that work, that'd be amazing. But there's still some people who are like, yeah, but I'm going to send it in, but it's going to be graded by someone from PSA where they're going to put an SGC slab on it. So a lot of people that are be like, they're not going to choose that when they're going to have to go somewhere else. And that definitely hurts those people for sure.
Well, we've all seen Peter's video.
The hostage video? Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, that putting it mildly. But yeah, saying that they're going to
continue. You are being held against your will, Peter.
But they're going to continue to work independently. Nothing is going to change. None of us believe that. So the real question is not whether we believe Peter or not, but what do you think happens with SGC? Is there even an SGC in a year?
So I just want to comment on the video first off and say, was that Vince McMahon level fuckery that PSA made Peter endure in that video by calling them the greatest company and the industry leader and how great collectors PSA is? Like, they made him eat shit in that video, in my opinion. And it felt like Vince McMahon making Eric Bischoff walk out to the center of the ring in 2001 or whatever after the WCW stuff. Like, it was kind of gross to watch and kind of upsetting because we all like Peter.
Mm-hmm.
And I reached out to Dustin because I know he has a relationship with SGC just to ask. Peter's not the owner, he's the president.
Yeah.
And they do have an owner. So, like, I guarantee you that was part of this negotiation was, we need Peter to go out there, be the face, and say, hey, PSA is awesome. We're going to sell to them because it's going to be great for collectors. Like, it was just so gross. I didn't love it. In terms of changes, I did write down now some potentially positive changes. A lot of people love the PSA registry. Will SGC be part of that now if you have SGC cards? That's a question that I think a lot of people would like answered. Will SGC be authenticating autographs now? That's something they don't currently do. PSA has that capability. I know that's one of the reasons Ziggy hates SGC because they don't do autograph authentication. And the big one, I think, crossover. What's the crossover situation? Is there going to be a crossover situation? I don't know. Apparently, Mike, you sent us something about Ravel had tweeted something, but he said he didn't tweet something and whatever. But crossover would be very intriguing, especially when it comes to buying up SGC slabs cheap and then trying to cross them over to PSA like a 9.5 or something like that to a 10.
They can't do that though. They can't.
Like
that
not.
would, yeah. I would highly doubt you would see that because it would hurt the value of the PSA slab.
Yeah.
Be pretty much all it would do. It would just add more to their pop report. And like, if it wasn't graded by them, like it shouldn't be in a PSA slab. So
I agree.
EP.
Yeah, my company was family owned when I first started working there. We were bought by Ottaway newspapers, which owned the Wall Street Journal, and the Daily Item, which is down the street. So it owned by this massive corporation. And when they first sold, they like everybody came and said, "Oh, don't worry, nothing's gonna change." Mm-hmm. And it was literally I think the first week, the first day they took over, I had to leave my office after working half a shift and then go work a full shift at the new place, at the second paper. And I at the time I didn't really mind it too much. I was just trying to get used to everything, but things change immediately, almost immediately, when this happens. And then since then, we've been bought and sold by like 3 other companies, and every time there's changes to so many different things. So my hope is that as far as changes go, my hope is that the SGC will not stay with SGC. There's just no way. But I feel like if they're smart, they keep the SGC brand. And my buddy Rob Ingalls, he suggested maybe SGC grades every card from 1989 and older, and then so that's what they use that for, which I think would be an interesting thing to do. Keep those vintage cards in the old SGC slab, which a lot of people seem to like, and then PSA grades all the newer stuff. And I wouldn't mind that at all. Maybe you go on their website and you say, "Do you want this graded SGC or PSA?" And again, but SGC will not stay. The SGC that a lot of us kind of know and love. I've sent a handful of cards in all ultra modern, but I thought their grading was great. I enjoyed the slabs and the packaging and everything like that, and it's really, really cool. But I feel like the things are going to change. Hopefully for collectors, it's for the better, but it probably won't be.
I mean, we all know that the one option will not be. They just continue to work independently, and EP, like that would be a great scenario if they were grading the vintage. But what's PSA's new special?
$15 vintage, baby. 1960 1979, I think, something
so
like
that. That would kind of say to me that would not be what they have. Like, it would seem weird to me if they bought SGC to plan on making them kind of like their vintage wing, that they would run a vintage special right after that deal to buy SGC is announced. I mean, as much as I hate to say it, I think a lot of the people that live in Florida might be packing up for Jersey City. I could be completely wrong on that, but like, I feel like the value in SGC for them are the employees that work there, a number of them, sadly, probably not all of them, but like they do have a lot of experienced graders there. And I feel like they're just going to, envelop them and work them into their system. Like,
and
you already have 77% of the market. If you have people that you think are really valuable at doing the thing that you do, I can't see them allowing that to be done in an independent company. You want that talent to be on your team. Like, if I just bought 2 football teams and, one of them's a lot better than the other, I'm going to take the best players that I have on that minor league team and put them in where they'll be able to like help the big team. Like, I don't know. I don't think you're going to see SGC in a year. I don't think it's going to be around not in an independent form, whether they I don't even know why they would keep the name. Like, I don't see why. You already have the biggest name in the space. So why would you keep a smaller name around and operate that when you could just use those people and make it all part of the bigger company?
There are also like there are a lot of people who think SGC grades better, like they are more accurate at grading than PSA, and a lot of people that hate PSA grading think PSA is terrible. And this, I mean, you take those good graders from SGC and add them to the staff in PSA, as perception wise, that's going to be huge for them. I can see that too. Yeah, definitely.
Well, the big question everybody's talking about on Twitter, do you think, what kind of impact do you think is it going to have long term on an SGC slab? Are they going to be worth more or less?
I think
no
more.
Change.
So I actually wrote this down because you mentioned, Mike, if they close, if they take the SGC folks and move them up, that kind of goes back to what I was saying about crossover. Like, can you imagine, again, we say these things in a vacuum because we know how annoyed we would be, but we also know how collectors are. So I was going to say, in a vacuum, if SGC is no more, PSA shutters them down and moves all their employees elsewhere within the collector's PSA universe. Like, if I owned SGC slabs, I would be pissed off at PSA.
They would have to offer crossover.
They would have to at that point offer crossover. And I don't know if it's, well, I don't even mean crossover like direct crossover.
Like
I mean
regrade.
Crossover,
yeah,
basically a regrade at this point, but it'd have to be free or cheap, like $5 to get this regraded by PSA. Yep. And I think I get in on the early side of that because I wouldn't be surprised if PSA was like, let's make these SGC people happy and cross them over pretty well. But to the other point, you said you'd be worried about some of the employees not making the move, not, basically saying they're going to get fired. If I was a PSA grader, a low-level PSA grader, I'd be more worried than an SGC grader because PSA's new graders aren't great. And those SGC graders might have to take a pay cut. What do PSA graders make? Like $12 an hour or something? Like
they start at 17. They start
minimum 17. Wage now. But like, I just think there's I don't know what's going to happen. I'm not going to pontificate.
This is all speculation.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I hope that they keep it to themselves and they have some sort of autonomy, but it's just, it's almost a childish mentality to think that that's what would have happened. Like, I don't mean childish as in like, I mean, like you have to be a baby brain to not think that they're going to be gone at some point soon.
Well, yeah, I agree 100%. Again, I keep saying I hope. My hope is that they keep the SGC, but in reality, having, like I said, gone through multiple corporate takeovers, like, it's. I mean, there's no. They don't.
The daily item they keep their name.
Well, yeah. I mean, it always has like that. That's been the case. But as far as the way things operate and that sort of stuff, like everything kind of changes, and getting rid of SGC, especially with the point Mike made, like it just makes too much sense. Like, why would you even bother to keep the SGC as an option if you're already the number one by so much? As much as there's probably a lot of collectors that would hopes and dreams, it probably doesn't make any sense financially for them to do that, right? Like that would just be a waste of their time and money.
Yeah, doesnment make sense to me. But
what's the expression? Hope in one hand, shit in the other, and see which one fills up first. I mean, that's. I mean,
you would know. You're the king of the expression.
Yep.
This is an educational podcast.
Yeah.
Well, moving on to the next topic, which is related to it. I saw Junk Wax Hero on Twitter and YouTube. He was the first person I saw that brought this up, but he said he was seeing rumors that were circulating that Collectors Holdings may sell off the Goldin platform. I mean, seems very surprised. Like, again, I don't know why they would be doing that, but now Joe gave his conspiracy theory, and now I'm like, I think he might be onto something. Like, I'm going to put my tinfoil hat on too.
Just Charlie Day with the strings in the mailroom.
Because my reaction to that is, like, that is even more surprising, I think, than collectors buying SGC to me. Is like, why would they do that? And really, when I think about it, Joe's little conspiracy theory would be a good reason to do that, if nothing else.
Yeah, I mean, let me just go a second here, Joe, because I just want to say that, like, I had the same reaction to you, Mike. Like, why that doesn't make any, like, why would they do that? It doesn't make any sense. like I was thinking, like why not have the vault and the the marketplace? But then Joe just goes and like educates both of us and says, hey, this
just throwing crazy shit against the wall to see if it sticks, man. I mean,
again, and
that's all we can do.
Crazy. Yeah,
it's all we can do because we have no idea what.
We have no idea. Nobody does. Yeah.
I mean, and like the obvious kind of like connect the dots answer was always they're trying to build capital to purchase SGC. I think was one of the explanations for it. Did they need to? Like how much?
No, they let me answer that though. They didn't because they recently did like a fundraiser, like they raised capital. They raised like $350 million, I think was the number I saw. So they don't need to sell that to have money to buy anything else. They already have investors that are giving them money that they've raised. So that would absolutely be a non-issue for them.
Yeah, that's what I thought too when people were floating that out. I'm like, they're worth billions and billions of dollars. I'm sure
it's a $4 billion company.
Right. They can find some change in the couch to buy SGC, I'm sure. Like, so that one never got with me. So that's kind of why my mind went through that train of thought about Fanatics has PWCC. They put not a ton of money, but they put some money. And we're going to talk about the hobby documentary on the Wednesday show. That PWCC place looked impressive.
Yeah, that vault, everything. Yeah.
So like they don't need Goldin if they were going to, suck up PSA/SGC or grading from collectors. So I don't know. It's an interesting. Maybe it's interesting times. That's all I'll say. It's an interesting time to be alive.
It really is. Like there are a lot of dominoes to fall, as they say. But I mean, that one is puzzling to me. But I don't know. I like a good conspiracy theory. So I'm with you 100%, Joe. You totally convinced me.
Yeah. How about you, EP?
Same. Yeah, same.
Breaking news here on the Retro Card Chat podcast is Fanatics is going to buy PSA from collectors.
Yeah, there it is.
You heard it here first.
If it doesn't happen,
I'll just cut this out. Yeah.
Delete it. Yeah. No worries. The podcast will go from an hour and a half to like 20 minutes and people are like, what just happened?
Oh, well, I think, here's a good point. I'm going to take a little break here and announce our channel lineup for this week because I forgot to do it at the top. So it feels like a good place to do it.
You could have not said anything and we would have been like, oh yeah, that's a good place to put it right here at the break.
Absolutely. This is where I wanted to put it because I want people to know what's going on. Absolutely. Like Joe dropped a little bit of a hint. We're going to be reviewing the hobby documentary on Wednesday's show. So that should be interesting. I don't know. We'll be there Wednesday morning to talk about it. I want everybody to join us and give us their thoughts. I don't know if I'm going to have a video on Thursday. I don't have anything that can. I might have something. I might not. I have a whole bunch of ideas in my crazy little head, but whether or not they come to fruition, we'll see. But don't count on it. Friday, we have a very good episode of 3 Cards because it's always a good episode of 3 cards you need for your retro PC. And by all means, watch it and vote for who you think wins.
Don't.
Joe loves it when people pick a winner. He does.
It's supposed to be fun, people. Don't. Mike makes everything competition.
Hey, I don't make a competition. The viewers do.
Oh, my God.
Of course, Saturday we'll have another episode of Extra Innings with EP down there, the new smash hit. And Joe, you're going to have part 2 of your Should I Sell My Tom Brady Collection video series, which if you haven't watched that yet, it dropped yesterday on Sunday. Go watch it because Joe, this guy up here is asking for your help.
Yeah.
Joe that knows everything.
I do. I know most things.
That Fanatics is going to buy PSA, but he needs your help. So please watch that video and give him help. He needs your guidance.
I do. Definitely. And part two, I'm going to talk about what Tom Brady cards I might be looking at if I do sell mine. So,
I can't wait. I'm in. I'm totally in. I will watch this, and not just because I have to edit the videos.
I was going to say you have to watch it at least once.
I do have to, so I don't really count, but I'll watch it again anyway. I like to see the finished product. All right. So, as rare as this is, Topps, owned by Fanatics, made a mistake. Did you hear about this one? They goofed. I know. It's so hard to believe because it never happens that they ever make a mistake. But in the 2024 Topps, they're going to have the first card. The very first card of every card in the set that was printed is going to have a 1/1 designation on the back and the first card foil stamp on the front, except they forgot to put the first card foil stamp on the front of any of the cards they made, and nobody noticed it. I mean, I know I'm a shill for Fanatics, not as big as EP, but how can it be that every single thing they're doing, they're screwing up now? Like, screw-ups have always happened in the hobby, but they seem to have an inordinate amount of them happening now that Fanatics, like, how do you release the product? Either nobody noticed that they weren't in there, or they noticed and they're like, just do it. And neither one of those options is a good option. Am I wrong? EP, let us know what you think.
I expect growing pains. So the new company taking over, I expect growing pains, right? But this has literally been every major release since they've taken over, right? Yeah. Like, I can't, like, is there one that it hasn't been? Like, there was the rookies that they left out of the Topps Chrome, and now this. I mean, this seems like there's just
duplicate 1/1s.
Duplicate 1/1s. Like, one of my things that I really think that this industry needs. I mean, I guess it's Fanatics at this point. Like, have a 1/1 dude. Like the 1/1 guru who is his only job at this factory is to make sure that the 1/1s are correct. There should only be one or maybe two.
It shouldn't be that hard, right?
It shouldn't be that hard.
Yeah.
And this is the product. This is the thing that everybody's excited about. Like, oh, I can't wait to get a 1/1. So have a dude that's just in charge of making sure they're right. How difficult? It can't be that difficult. There can't be that many of the cards compared to everything else. They probably print them on a different sheet. I don't know how the collation, all that sort of stuff works. But they need to have somebody that's in charge of this stuff, and I don't understand why is it taking this long? Why have they made this many mistakes? And it seems like a lot of times it is with the 1/1s, right? Like it is with these huge chase cards, these cards that everybody should be excited about, and they just keep messing them up. It's upsetting to me. Obviously, I don't get that animated usually, but yeah. So that's where I'm at.
Joe,
what do you got?
Oh, I'm sorry, guys. I was working on an email I have to send out for work, so I wasn't really paying attention. Are we talking about the foil on the cards thing?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, let me get. Okay. Sorry, guys. It was an important work email. So I didn't catch any of that, but it was a foil about the cards, the first card thing, right? So first things first, I am so sick of Panini screwing up in the hobby.
It's the wrong. It's the other Joe. It's the other company.
No, it's Topps.
It's Topps.
Oh, it's
Fanatics own Topps. It's the.
Okay. I'm sorry. Like I said, I wasn't paying attention. Let's give them a break here, guys. This is the first time that they've ever screwed anything up.
Joe.
No.
This is the.
Nope.
Joe,
wait, what's going on?
Everyone
gets a first time, guys.
No, this is like the fifth or sixth time. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hold on. How can I spin this? Growing pains, guys. You have to go through a few growing pains over a couple of years, and you're going to make some screw ups. We just have to be okay with it. Is that good? Michael, call me. I'm trying to defend you here.
I feel like you will now have an insert card in Big League Baseball.
Okay,
True.
Joking aside, bit aside, yeah, I agree with EP finally coming to the right side of history on this one. Fanatics, we're in, boys. We've got them for 25 years. We're in. This is going to be every year. It's going to be because they are the only one. So, like, if there was 5, 6, 7 different companies making cards, Upper Deck screws up or Fleer screws up, or they can be, there's other things we can go and do. There's other products we can go and get. Or, okay, they screwed up on this one product. We'll give them a little time. We'll go buy something else, and then we'll come back to them. This is it. We're going to be putting the spotlight on Fanatics every time they have a screw up because they are the only company. We've blessed them. We've said, you're way better than Panini. You're way better than any company to ever make cards. So
we had nothing to do with the buying of the licenses, dude.
We're depending on you to do this right. And they have proven for the last over a year now, they are not getting this right. Like, I can't wrap my mind around a company that does perfect jerseys and perfect shirts and never have any quality control
perfect
issues
pants.
in any perfect pants. I mean, yeah. I'm shocked by this, frankly.
Okay, I have 2 comments / questions here. These are supposed to be the first card printed. So I don't know anything about printing cards, but I would imagine that if you gave me a job and said, okay, we're going to put the first card stamp on it, that's 1 sheet of each player, correct? If it's the first card printed. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wouldn't somebody be able to look at that sheet, all of them, and go, yeah, no, we're missing the stamp. Hold it up here. We need to redo it. Isn't that how
it's the brand new thing?
I mean, that's how it worked with the extra superfractors. Like, they caught it and they're like, no, these aren't good. We need to redo them. So how in the hell did they print these? The very first sheet of each of the players, if that's actually how they did it, like, how did they not catch? Like, they only printed 1 of those. They needed to set it up to just print 1 sheet of each one with that stamp on it. Either you notice that it was on there or you don't. Like, I see no way it should have ever got to, oh, well, let's just print them. So clearly nobody was checking that, right? Why? We always talk about this. Why not? But then the second one is they own the printing company, right?
Damn it, Mike. You stepped on my joke.
But why is it that Panini is not having the same problems as Topps when it comes to screwed up printing? Like, the same, like, I don't know. Do they, God forbid, does Panini have better QC people working there? Or did I even say that? Like, it sounds preposterous, but if you look at the evidence, like, I don't understand how they're having all the troubles at the printer that they own, but the other company who also uses the same printer isn't having as much of a problem. Maybe I'm just naive to how it all works, but somebody should have been there to notice that the first sheet printed didn't have the foil stamp on it. Okay.
A couple of things I was going to say about this. The guy in charge of Panini sticker autos is like, oh, thank God this news came out, because no one remembers me forgetting to put autos in Panini Prism. My joke was going to be, well, freaking Panini, my conspiracy theory is Panini owns the printing press. I mean, they're probably just trying to screw with Fanatics right now. No, that's not
Fanatics.
But to your point, Mike, I've noticed the QC has actually been better for Panini this year from previous Panini years. Like, the cards look centered, the cards look cleaner. Like, it's kind of wild that Fanatics is somehow making Panini products better with better quality control than Fanatics, who owns the printing company, does. It just seems so counterintuitive to me. I don't know. EP, defend this. You're the guy.
I can't defend this.
Defend it.
No, Mike, you at the very top of this, you said about how either somebody missed it, didn't look at it, or somebody looked at it and said, let it go. And my feeling is, you're telling me that they're making this big deal out of these first cards, these brand new cards, that not one person on the floor and or from Topps or from Fanatics looked at that sheet and said, there are no foil cards on there. Because if they did, it is like egregiously, like, don't give a shit. Or they saw it and they just let it go through. And that is horrible in my opinion. Like, that's just ridiculous. Like, how is it even possible? I don't believe that there's a conspiracy where Panini people are messing with Topps stuff. I just feel like they are. Did Fanatics / Topps not retain any of the people that were running their presses and being in charge of that stuff?
They must need new people. Hire me. I'll go make sure that the stamp is on the first one printed. I'll do that job for free.
It's like the timeout coach or whatever or the get back coach or something, like, has super specific jobs in NFL games. It's like, okay, Andy Reid, you only have 2 timeouts left. Like, you would think he would know that, but it's good that they have someone there saying you only have 2 timeouts left. Maybe you're onto something, Mike. You need someone to be like 1-1, okay, 1-1, okay. Like, someone needs to be there to do this, because it's happening consistently. And you know, the overarching jokes aside, it's, again, this is another thing. It's just bad for collectors. Like, they keep doing these things, both of these big companies, and you just look at them and you're like, are you going to do something good for collectors at any point? At any point, it would be awesome if you did. But right now, it's like, oh no, what we can. It's easier to, what is the expression? It's easier to beg for forgiveness and ask for permission, kind of thing.
Mm.
It's easier for them to come out and be like reactive instead of proactive. Oh, we screwed up. Send them to us. If you
always
want them
what they
stamped.
do, yeah.
Right. There's
Because
no
like,
there's no coming out and saying, hey, this happened, or not letting it happen in the first place. It's like they're reacting to everyone finding this stuff out. And Topps maybe thinks they're still in the 90s where people don't have Twitter and social media and YouTube channels and talk about this stuff. Makes you wonder how much of this stuff got through 20 years ago, because people didn't notice, people didn't know what other people's cards looked like and things like that. You often wonder how much of this stuff actually, and that's why hobby watchdogs, as much as many people don't like them, they're good for the hobby. You need those people, because these companies don't give a shit, right?
Well, yeah,
so people like us need to.
Yeah, they don't give a crap, because they're still printing money. People are still excited about it. They're still going out and get it. They're still buying it. They're still paying for it. They're going to keep buying it.
There's not going to be this huge boycott.
Right.
No.
People aren't just going to
No.
stop buying cards.
EP, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Now, you're an editor at a newspaper, right?
Mm-hmm.
What are the odds that a newspaper, somebody screws up and the headline is "fuck," capital letters?
That would never,
point.
ever happen.
And let's say the first copies are printed and that's the headline. Do you think that would ever reach a reader's hands, or would it be found out and stopped and changed?
It would have, okay, there are, like, for our chain of how things work. If one of my copy editors, who that's my group, obviously if a reporter put it in there as a joke or something, our copy editors are supposed to change it. If one of our copy editors put it on there, then the person that does the page check, because we do a page check after the page is done.
Oh, a page check. That's
page check. Then the person sends it, and then even our press people, like they get a PDF of the page, and it's a negative, it's reverse negative, so it's not always the exact same, so the colors are off, but they can see the big words. So there have been times where, you know, never anything as egregious as a bad cuss word, but we've had stuff where they say, hey, this doesn't look right. There's something about this page. So we have all these multiple layers of people that look at it before it goes out.
Checks and balances,
so
if you will.
Checks and balances.
So, like, you guys can accomplish that printing a newspaper, but somehow a $30 billion company can't seem to get that in place for printing a card. That's my point I'm making. Like, stuff is printed all over the world. Like, this doesn't happen. So how does it keep happening with them? Like, this is the dumbest of all of their mistakes. Like it's simple. Look for the foil. Like, somebody should have seen either the design wasn't done right, like that they sent to them, that however they set it up wasn't set up right, or what printed wasn't printed. Like, there were so many opportunities in that chain for them to go, whoa. And like, that's what makes me wonder, did they notice it? But they're like, well, if we do this now, we're not going to get this out for another 3 weeks. Just print it. Like,
well, I'm not 100% sure how the whole process works, but here's how in my mind I envision it working. Somebody comes up with the general design, they're going to copy and paste photos or whatever, but they come up with the general design that includes the foil stamp on it and all that sort of stuff. And then somebody, probably a supervisor, has to approve that. They do whatever tweaks, whatever. Then they get the final approval. This is the final thing, and maybe that stamp is a layer, and that layer got left behind, but behind the thing or whatever. But then there has to be another step where when they send it off to everyone to be printed, like there's also going to be somebody looking at that, which then they should have noticed it before it even gets to the printer. Like that there's a PDF that's sent to the printer, and then that PDF is turned into the printing plates and all that sort of stuff. And so there are multiple layers where this foil stamp got missed, or if that's not the case, then maybe they forgot to put foil in the certain spot where it needs to be for it to go on the on the card. But then somebody at the press room should have noticed that, because that's one of their jobs, is to make sure that that sort of extra external type thing is stamped on there. Like that's maybe their responsibility. So again, there are multiple areas, let alone having the 101 dude who should have been there from Fanatics for, they're trying to add some value to the flagship product. And it's with these 101s, and last year with the Goldin SSPs, and now they all got some cut autos in there this year as well. So they're trying to ramp this up, but then to fumble it so badly on this thing that should have been so cool again, but on this new thing that should have been so cool, they to fumble it is just ridiculous to me.
We didn't even go into detail about these cut autos, which could be a whole other topic by itself, and how they're screwing those up. But I digress. We don't have the time for that.
I do want to say I hope, and I'm the biggest baseball guy I think out of the three of us here, and so I hate that this is happening on the very initial baseball watch, but I really hope that they get this crap out of their system by the time they get the football and basketball licenses. It doesn't seem like they're going to, but I'm hoping
it'll just be magnified when they have all
like
that
3x.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm thinking. When they're the only show in town, the spotlight is going to be on them for every screw up. And it won't matter. Like, we'll complain about it. We'll talk about it on our weekly podcast. People will complain about it on Twitter, Sports Card Radio, do a think piece. And I'm going to rip a case of Chrome. And I'm not the only one that's going to rip a case of Chrome. So, like, again, we can complain, and it makes us feel good. It's like a cathartic experience. Nothing's going to change. And that was my point last week about the autos. We're all going to complain, but guess what's going to happen? You're still going to go out and buy Panini Prism basketball. You're still going to go out and buy Top Series 1. It's just how it is. We are a captive audience, and this is the only stuff we can get. We're going to keep buying it.
I kind of picture like in the movie Elf, where they're missing the page in the book, and he's like, just ship it. Like, I feel like that's what they did. I feel they just shipped it. Okay. Two other things, though, I wanted to bring up about this. They did say that they would make good on it if you got a 101. They want to get you the one with the right stamp in there and give you some Topps credit. But first of all, how many of these cards do you think were probably thrown away from breakers who weren't, sending base out to people?
Yep,
and
that's a very good point.
How many of these do you think will be faked? Because really, just a 101 stamp on there, there are all kinds of people that have 101 stamps to, you have the right font and the right size and put it on there. Like, they're even Brian Gray tweeted about that. Like, this is the big issue for them. It's not as easy for them to just make up for it, because there are going to be a lot of people faking it. And like, what if you got the real one and two other people already sent in fake ones? Like, in this hobby, people are going to be stamping those with 101s and sending them in to try to get the real card. This is like not an easy fix. You can't just throw money at this, I don't think, because the hobby's the way it is. People are going to be trying to get theirs. People are going to be faking those. And if they can't catch that the foil wasn't on the card, do we really trust they're going to catch that 101 stamp is fake? Come on.
I mean, EP, how much Top Series 1 did you guys open? I mean, how many 101 stamps can we get a hold of? What?
I have a stack about this high.
Hoodie money. That's hoodie money if I've ever seen it. Yeah, that's a good point. And scammers going to scam. It's just a part of the hobby.
Hobby scammer's going to hobby scam.
Hobby scam's going to hobby scam. Yeah, and it's like that. A really good way to put it, Mike, is you can't just throw money at this one. Like, there's everything else. They've done that too, and people have been satisfied with it. But again, you're that second person to send in a 101 after it's already been claimed. Yours is the real one. Now you're screwed over. They don't care. What are they going to do? Because they're not going to be able to just give everyone who gives a 101. Like, what's the check and balance of that? Mm-hmm. And yes, Top Series 1 is one of those products where the breakers don't send out base. Even if they're not throwing them away, maybe they're building sets. I think Dave and Adams do that. I think they build sets out of the base. Those breakers might be going through those cards right now being like, holy shit, we just scored like 3 or 4 101s that no one's going to get now because they didn't know to look for
people that should have gotten them didn't get them, and they're never going to know who should have gotten them.
Right. I don't think it's a zero-sum game either. I don't think, like, there is no way there is no possibility that someone didn't get screwed out of it. At least one person, maybe a handful of people, as much as that product gets broke, right? So yeah, that's really disappointing for the collectors.
Yeah, there's probably a lot of people, and like I said, probably the breakers, like they're just anybody that keeps them, they're just putting them in a 5,000 count box. So there's absolutely no way to figure out whose is what. Like then they hand it to somebody else, and somebody else goes and takes care of the building of the sets or whatever. So yeah, and then like I feel like it's kind of like gift cards, right? Like I'm guessing companies probably feel like a certain number of people are never going to use their gift cards, right?
Yeah.
And so a certain number of people are never going to turn in their 101s, even if they have the 101, they're never going to turn it in. Even if they know about it, they have it, and like they're not going to turn it in. So, like again, if you're looking at it from a perspective of a giant corporation, it's way easier and way less expensive to fix it in post, fix it after the fact, because you're not. I mean, you're only going to have to probably fix half of them, if that even probably. Like you think like between all
I
the
don't
ones
know,
that
you could get 5 of each of the 101s or 100 of each of them or 10,000 of each of them.
I think they have a designation on the back though, 101 designation on the back that is like on the card, like a printed thing on the card.
I think they just have the stamp on there.
But how do they know which one is the correct one then? I feel like there's
because they were supposed to have a first card stamp on the front.
Okay.
But yeah, they have the 101 on the back, but I don't think they have like any different numbering or designation. Okay. It's supposed to be the first base card that was printed of each player, and they stamped the 101. And I'm pretty like, I could be wrong, but from what I've seen, like it's only the 101 stamp is the only way you would know if you had that card.
Okay.
So I don't know. It just,
Mike, did you go through yours?
I did. I didn't have any.
Just to kind of make sure.
I did. That was, yeah, I actually went through them and I didn't have any. So,
Well, until we get the stamp.
Yeah, well, I'm waiting on you to stamp those for me.
Yeah, for sure.
You really will. All right, guys. Well, I think that'll wrap it up there this week. That was a pretty good chat.
Before we wrap it up, I just want to thank wholeheartedly PSA, SGC, and Fanatics. You guys, every week you write the show for us, but this week has been phenomenal. So thank you for all the chicanery you did this week.
There was no last minute trying to figure out what to talk about this week. Nope. We're trying to figure out what we wouldn't be able to fit in this week. And I had a couple things, but yeah.
Maybe next week. Maybe if it's a slow week next week.
We had a couple slow weeks in a row, so they were making up for all the slow weeks.
All right.
They made up for it too. All right, guys. That was a good chat this week, and I will see you next week. Take care, guys.
See you, boys.
Adios.